Hello guys, welcome to another weekly breakdown video. Today I'll be backtesting the first week of February. As you can see, December and January has done nothing. It was choppy. The market was choppy on December and January as we expected it to be. And now on February I am anticipating a trend to start either to the upside or to the downside. We don't know yet, but yeah. But we hope something like that happens because conditions like this are very tricky to trade. As you can see, it is consolidating, whereas DXY has now started to trend. Obviously DXY is better than GBP USD. Sometimes stuffs like this will happen. That's why I have written callouts. I will show you. So on the weekly my DXY bias is clearly bullish on the weekly. As you can see, from previous some weeks the market has been going up and up and up, so you can argue that there might be a supply here on the daily. Yes, there might be, but until and unless the price shows me rejection from here on the daily time frame, I will not consider that. Okay, so my bias on the DXY is bullish, and let me show you the callouts one by one. Whenever the daily bias is not clear, then we should look forward to trade with the weekly bias on that particular day. Learn through backtesting. Yes, whenever the daily bias is not clear, for example the weekly bias is bearish and your daily bias is not clear, when will that happen? That will happen when the daily prints a doji or a candle which is in indecision. So that's when we get to know those things. Here we can see again DXY had swept the previous week high on Monday, and there on Tuesday, and then on Tuesday DXY went and swept the previous week low too. And on Tuesday GU went and swept the previous week low too. So there is of course some SMT correlation right there. I mean here that I will show you obviously, but for now just get it like this. DXY swept the previous week high on Monday, but whereas on GBP USD the previous week low was here, right? So it went down and swept it, but on Tuesday. So that's SMT, right? First DXY did it, which gave us confluence that yeah, now GU can also do that, and yeah, that we can use in our advantage. So this was a 12:30 p.m. inducement and 1:30 p.m. move. Whereas this is whenever the market is consolidating in a phase like this is what I'm talking about, where the bias is not clear. Better to not trade until there is a bias. But if you want to trade desperately, like trade with DXY bias and the daily bias, compare them, and what makes more sense, do that at that time. Yes, you can do that, compare with DXY and also to look at the daily bias. There are some phases in the market where your edge doesn't work at all. It's normal. Don't stagnate means panic. Don't panic when that happens. Okay, so that was all of my callouts. And now going to the next week, if I see on the GBP USD, it is not clear. Clearly we can see that the bias is not clear, whereas on DXY the weekly bias is bullish. So now let's go on the daily for the daily bias. So now on the daily time frame, if I draw out the daily, there is a fair value gap here. This was the change of character to the upside, so obviously the market is trending upwards on DXY, and there is also a supply zone, but it is not showing any sort of reversal like a bearish pin bar. No such thing, right? So going on Monday, my bias was not that clear, not one of the clearest. Even on GBP USD the bias was not that clear. And also on the daily time frame, you can see the market has been ranging for a bit now. So also going on Monday, I guess I didn't look for anything, and also Monday there was no news. I guess I didn't look for anything. Let me see. Obviously my bias is not clear, then let's see. Okay, I was not looking for anything on this. Is why I wrote this. Whenever the daily bias is not clear, then we should look forward to trade with the weekly bias. This is the reason why I wrote this. So my daily bias was not clear, right? But my weekly bias according to DXY comparison is bearish. So if I was looking for something, that should be sells, and which played out to the T in this case. That's why I've written that. And let's see. So this was the Asian range, and according to the Asian range we decide our zones, right? So this is when I went to the lower time frames. So this was the supply zone I was trading for. You can argue there was a supply zone here, supply zone here. Yes, those were also the supply zones on the 15, but those supply zones were not respected. The only supply zone that was respected was this one. So on Monday, if I traded with the weekly bias, we could have won a trade, but we are backtesting, so I'm trying every sort of things. but yeah, because it will help us in the live market. It played out to the T. We got a 1:3 risk to reward. So a win is a win, right? At the end of the day, a win is a win. So we should journal every single win to know. So now my weekly bias is bearish, kinda. So now Monday closed as a bullish candle. So let's go to DXY to confirm my bias. And again, bro, this is a very tricky position to trade. So obviously we have to be very careful trading these markets. And yeah, on DXY, clearly we can see a bearish pin bar, and here it is a bullish pin bar, whereas on Euro USD also it's a bullish pin bar. So that is when I start to go to the lower time frames like the 4 hourly to look for demand zones if I'm looking for buys. And okay, so this was the fair value gap, this was the demand. Okay, so also the 4 hourly time frame is bullish from this low to till this high, right? So this is the low that goes this high, and we can also argue on the 4 hourly this is the higher high. The market came all the way down to this demand on the 4 hourly, and then it can make a move something like this, right? So yeah. So now going on the hourly, we can see this is the low that caused this new high. So this is the demand we were looking to trade from, but let's wait for the Asian range to close. Obviously, until and unless the Asian range close, we can't do nothing. So going on Tuesday, and also let me show you the news. On Tuesday there was CB consumer confidence and JOLTS job opening USD news, and yeah, those were the news. So now wait for the Asian range to close as always, you know the drill by now. And after the Asian range is closed, I go to the lower time frames like the M15, and on the M15 the closest zone was this fair value gap. Sometimes the market does make the move from the fair value gap also, right? So that's why I was looking to trade from this zone, which did got mitigated. Asian low got swept, this fair value gap didn't got respected at all, so didn't trade at that. So this was our timing. So this was the inducement move. This move I would have not taken because obviously this is 1245, and 1245 we don't enter. But if I had entered, I would lost this trade. And after this inducement, yeah, this was the inducement right here. We got a bullish pin bar. This is where I would enter. I would 100% enter here. If I was looking for buys on this day, I would enter here. Even if this is a loss, it's a genuine loss. Okay, so this was a genuine loss. I would have entered this trade any day from the demand zone. Everything we want to see in a trade was here. Yeah. And now going on Wednesday. Let's see going on Wednesday what my bias is. So now going on Wednesday, again my bias is bullish according to how this candle closed. It's again a bullish candle, right? We can clearly see it is a bullish candle. And yeah, very, very tricky. And also here it is, look at the candles, bro. Just by looking at this, I don't even want to trade this kind of market. No volume in the markets at all. It's a doji, so the bias on DXY is not clear. And this is bullish, and this is also kind of bullish, but it's also not aligning with the weekly bias. So the trades that are aligning, the daily bias that is aligning with the overall weekly bias, those are the most highest probability trades, as I've told many times. Also you can see what I was saying before, right? I was saying that, look, on Monday, you can see on the downside, Monday it swept previous week high on DXY, whereas on Monday it didn't sweep the previous week low on GU. It should, if it has swept the previous week high on DXY, it should go and sweep the previous week low on GBP USD also. But here what did it do was it swept the Asian low, previous week low on Tuesday, which is SMT. That's what's SMT called. So now going on, there is also something to look up to, because that also teaches us a lot of things. So now going on, which day it is? On Wednesday. So before going to Wednesday, let me show you the news. On Wednesday there was, okay, so this was an NFP week, as you can see. So all day Euro prelim CPI, so not an ideal day to trade. Whenever there is Euro all day news, I tend not to trade. And also USD ADP non-farm employment change and employment cost index. Whereas here on Wednesday there was also lots of news. It's not an ideal day to trade, but yeah, if I was looking for a trade, I would look for that marked zone, I guess. Wait for the Asian range to close as always, you know our drill. So after Asian low close, Asian range close, I need the Asian low to get swept, because I'm looking for buys, and from this M15 demand. So everything was here. This was the move. You can see 1230. Yeah, this is the move. Yeah, look at this very carefully. you will learn a lot of things here. Asian low sweep, demand mitigation, everything you want to see in a trade is here. 12:30 p.m. shown huge bullish momentum, entered, right? Look what happens. Literally come down. This, in this case, I was lucky because I gave my stop loss room to breathe, but I guess due to spread and slippage I would have got out the trade anyways. But yeah, 12:30 gave the fake move, induced the 12:30 early buyers, and then on 1:30 it made the move, bro. This is exactly what happens in the market. This is called smart money trap. This is the trap we wanna be. This is called inducement. We wanna be aware of this. Whereas this trade was a winner on Wednesday, literally played out to the T, as you can see. So my bias for the week was bearish, but obviously Tuesday we were looking for buys, Wednesday we were looking for buys. So let's see on what we are looking for on Thursday again, bro. Look at the candles, yeah, no problem. We have to learn every market conditions. So now on Thursday, let's see. On Thursday, going on Thursday, now my bias is not clear because of how the candle closed. It's a doji again. So that is when I go to DXY. So DXY is now closed as a bullish candle, as you can see. So it is also aligned with the weekly bias being bullish on DXY. So now I will look for sells on GBP USD. Look, I am adapting to the market like anything. You can see, right? On Euro also it's bearish. So you have to adapt to the market if you want to survive in conditions like this. So that is when I go to the lower time frames to look for supply zones if I want to sell. So also on the 4 hourly, the market is still trading from this low to this high. So no meaning of looking for market structure because the market is still bullish until and unless it body closes above or below that, right? So simple. The strategy is simple. Everything's simple, bro. So now I am looking for sells from this sort of supply on the M15, and let's wait for the Asian range to close. After Asian range closes here, there is a supply zone right around here on the M15. So I'll wait for the Asian low to get swept, which didn't got swept, to be honest, to be fair. So this was a continuation model. I remember I took the trade somewhere around here. I guess it was a winner. 1:3. We got our 1:3. So until and unless we get our 1:3, it was we are okay. I guess I took the trade somewhere around here. This consolidation, it's also a drop based drop. It's a supply zone continuation pattern. And yeah, I was looking for sales. Sales played out to the T. Now going on Friday. Now going on Friday, the last day. On this week, you can see my bias changed like anything. Monday, I'm looking for something. Tuesday, again, I'm looking for something, right? So now, Thursday closes a very bullish candle on GU, which is a sign that Friday might also continue up. And it's also NFP. And this closed as a bearish candle on Thursday on DXY. We can look for sells on Friday, which is also an NFP. To be honest, if it was a live market, I would not trade. But these are the conditions where your edge also doesn't play out, I guess, to the T, which I've written there, right? So till now there is no market structure shift. As you can see, these are wicks we consider as liquidity sweep. And yeah, so I have marked this sort of fair value gap on the hourly because we have to mark the closest zones and wait for the Asian range to close. After the Asian range close, I was looking for buys, and this was the liquidity that I was looking for to trade. It was a M30 demand. You can see I've told you many times, but I'll say it once again. On the hourly, this is one move, whereas if I go on 30, it is a higher low, higher high, right? So this at the higher low, at the structure point, we mark our demand zones because huge buying happened from here. So the market, according to the volume in the markets right now, doesn't need to go all the way down here to make the move, according to me. So it can also have its move from here. So that is the reason I've marked that zone. Whereas now, this is when I go to the lower time frames, and also this Asian range was very small. As you can see, it was 11 pips Asian range, 12 pip Asian range, which is very, very small. And yeah, this was not an ideal day to trade, to be honest. But if you would have taken a trade here after Asian low sweep, Asian high got swept, previous day high got swept, came down, swept the Asian low, and then with the DXY correlation took the trade, and which would have been a loss. But no, it doesn't make sense. Also, it was NFP. So yeah, this H1 fair value gap got filled to the T. Even backtesting this kind of data is not fun, to be honest, but we gotta do what you gotta do. We are disciplined, so yeah, no problem. We gotta learn from this is the longest period of consolidation I have seen in the markets. As you can see, the market, yeah, it consolidates for 2-3 weeks and then start a starts a trend, but here it is something different. It was something different, but this thing here taught us a lot of things. So yeah, it was worth it. So going to the next week, let's see what happens, and yeah, catch you in the next video.